What if sound wasn't just something we, hear? What if it could carry powerful, biologically active information?
Hmm.
Imagine, like a shortcut to well-being, maybe even anti-aging, just through an acoustic signal.
Mm-hmm.
Simple sound.
Right.
That's what we're diving into today. Some fascinating sources looking at exactly that, the potential of sound, mixed with ancient wisdom and some really cutting-edge quantum tech, to actually influence our biology.
It's a really intriguing area, absolutely. We're looking at research exploring how very specific acoustic patterns can have a positive impact.
Patterns derive from where?
Well, from things like medicinal plants, minerals, and how these sounds might interact with the human body, specifically our acupuncture channels,
Okay.
and crucially, what that could mean for aging.
Right. Okay, let's unpack that because it sounds pretty profound.
Mm.
So the core finding seems to be that certain sounds, Tibetan mantras, for one,
Hmm.
and also these acoustic versions of something called laser polarization radio waves,
Mm.
LPRW,
Right, LPRW.
which are basically sounds encoded from specific plants like helichrysum, gotu kola, St. John's wort, ginger,
Yeah.
and even minerals, bee quartz,
Yeah.
topaz.
Yes, exactly those.
These sounds have a measurable positive effect on our acupuncture channels.
That's what the research indicates. And what's fascinating here, like you said, it's measurable. It's not just someone saying, oh, I feel better.
So that's subjective.
No, the study used objective diagnostics, things like Tibetan pulse diagnosis, TPD, and electropuncture diagnosis, EPD.
Okay.
And these showed a consistent increase in the functional activity of those channels.
An increase in activity. What does that really mean, though, in the bigger picture?
Well, if we connect the dots, this increased activity isn't just about temporary relief. It's seen as a potential foundation
A foundation for what?
for developing human anti-aging technologies. The idea is that boosting this channel activity might optimize the body's own self-repair, its regenerative processes, sort of rewinding aspects of aging at a fundamental level.
Wow, okay. That's a big leap, connecting energy flow to potentially reversing aging. But how? How can sound carry that kind of biological instruction?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
The research suggests it ties into how our bodies inherently manage information. Down at the cellular level, apparently, we have this incredible self-organization capability.
Regulated by, let me see if I have this right, the wave computing activity of the chromosomal apparatus.
That's the term they use, yes. It sounds complex, but think of it as our body having its own internal, biocomputer.
Huh?
It relates to concepts like DNA computing, the idea that DNA itself processes information incredibly rapidly.
Uh-huh.
But the real kicker here, the breakthrough technology mentioned, is something called a biological quantum computer, a BQC.
A BQC, and what does that do?
Imagine it can essentially read or scan the quantum information, the energetic signature from these biologically active substances.
Like the plants and minerals.
Exactly. Plants, minerals, maybe even DNA itself. It captures this quantum info using a laser, then converts it into a broadband electromagnetic radio wave.
Okay, hold on. So this BQC creates a radio wave carrying the quantum essence of, say, ginger.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Packed with that biologically active quantum information.
And then this is the part that sounds almost too simple, that radio wave can be converted into a regular sound, like an MP3 file.
Precisely. An acoustic signal.
And it still holds all that original bioactive information.
Yeah.
It doesn't get lost in translation.
According to the research, no. The information transfer holds from substance to radio wave to acoustic wave, which naturally leads to the next question.
What happens when people actually listen to these sounds?
Right. The study looked at participants in a self-regulation seminar. They were exposed to these specific acoustic spectra and also Tibetan mantras.
What were the results?
Pretty significant improvements. 10 days after exposure, the functional state of their acupuncture channels showed harmonization.
Harmonization meaning more balanced.
Yes, and overall health indicators improved for a large majority. We're talking improvements of 17% to 36%.
That's quite a range, but significant numbers.
Definitely. And even people who were already considered healthy saw benefits, maybe around 5% to 9% improvement.
So the potential here seems to be this non-invasive, safe way to regulate physiological processes, just using sound.
That's the promise, yes. A way to potentially fine-tune our internal systems without drugs or invasive procedures.
For anyone listening who thinks this sounds, well, a bit out there,
Yeah.
what's the underlying principle that makes this plausible?
It really leans on understanding biology through a quantum lens. Moving beyond just chemistry to see how information transfer via subtle energy fields is fundamental.
So the body isn't just plumbing and wiring, it's also an information network.
Exactly. A dynamic, interconnected network constantly processing information at quantum levels. These sounds seem to be speaking that language, you could say.
So where does this leave us? What's the takeaway?
Well, the big idea is that we might be able to non-invasively nudge our body's functions, maybe even influence aging, just by listening to specific sounds carrying biological information. It really opens up possibilities.
A whole new view of health, potentially.
It merges ancient ideas about energy flow with really advanced physics, offering a path to optimize ourselves using something as basic as sound.
It definitely makes you think differently about the sounds all around us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You start wondering, could the air itself be vibrating with, I don't know, healing potential? Just waiting for the right frequency. What really stands out to you about this whole concept of sound being a carrier for biological information?